Good afternoon, everybody. Hope you're well. Hope you had a great long weekend. Delighted to see you here. Apologies for the slight blip yesterday, but we are here today, and we more kind to have it on Morning Australia Day. So anyway, let's get into today's session, and some interesting things going on this week, which are worth talking about more. Discuss those as we do along the way, and of course, as always, just a little message, which is maybe small, but is really important, just to remind you that as we're looking at live markets, please do your own due diligence on anything you see or hear. Make sure you follow trading plans and manage risk on every trading action, consistent with your own personal and trading objectives. Thank you very much for saying hi already in the questions box. That's always really appreciated. So, as always, many thanks for that. Thanks, Wayne. G'day, Hugh. Hi, Lita. I hope you're all good. Right. Okay, let's get into it. So, we saw US equities positive in overnight trading. We've obviously got a ramp up of earnings season with some big boys reporting, and noticeably big tech. We've got some key data out as well, both locally and good afternoon, Shane, and as well as the Fed reporting their expected pause in interest rates. US futures are near neutral in early Asian trading. Asian markets are mixed. When let's look at ASX was up. European futures are indicating a positive start later today, following on from the positive lead in Wall Street. The US dollar looks bearish and has reached short-term support, or breached short-term support, sorry. And as a result of that, gold has looked fairly buoyant and is now trading over that critical psychological 5,000 level, which is quite spectacular, really, considering where it was 3 or 4 months ago. Base metals have paused. Copper sitting mid-range, and oil is sitting near the top of the range as well. Whereas cryptos remain soft and may test support. We'll check out charts of all of these in a few minutes. As I've said, it's a big tech week on earnings season. We've got Meta, Apple, Microsoft, and Tesla all reporting this week, and we've got key global data due, not least the Fed. After that, Australian jobs been stronger than expected. The RBA are pretty well 50-50 in terms of whether they raise rates from the next meet on next week, actually. So there is some Australian CPI due this week, which is going to be a key number in terms of that decision. As I said, the Fed expectations have changed somewhat. If we just maybe flick to just see how they are after last night, but you'll see in a moment when it loads that no possibility of a cut for January. If we look into April, that's pretty well locked in for a pause. So it's actually June where we get a tipping of that over. It's just around about 58% chance of a cut in June. I'm just not going to be very happy about that. Let's just have a look at what happened last night. So we saw a rally, which sort of means that there is a potential expectation that those earnings might be okay. You can see Google, Meta, Apple, Microsoft all to the upside. And if we look at futures, you can see a bit of a mixed bag with the exception of the Nasdaq. European futures have dropped off a little bit, but that's in Asian trading. We are still expecting a little bit to the upside. And you can see a little weakness in commodities, crude oil and gold slightly down. Copper is getting a little bit belted, but just still remains in the range. Let's look at Asia. You can see that's what happened last night. Just to reiterate that. Nikkei's recovered fairly well. It was actually down earlier on. We're still waiting for the Hang Seng and the Shanghai to open. You can see the ASX is over 1%. That's near the highs of the session. I'm getting. We just pop this on here. Yeah, you can see we sort of moved up in that first hour, and since then we've sort of dimbled around 1% to the upside. Resources leading the way, not surprisingly, on the back of that gold price to the upside. If we look at what's coming out from a data point of view, we can see here, if we come to today, there's some core CPI number coming out of, sorry, that's tomorrow. We've got durable goods coming out of the US, but it's the month-on-month figures. Not a big market mover on its own. We've got CPI coming out of Japan tomorrow. And then we move on to the interesting stuff. Wednesday morning, about 11:30 your time, we'll get no, not quite your time. We will get the CPI released. As you see there, we are expecting a slight tick up. That may be enough just to make tip the balance in terms of a pause. We've got the Canadian interest rate statement with expected pause, but it's all really about on that same evening or early morning on your side of the country. We've got that federal funds rate expected to sit at 3.75, so it's after that that's going to be important. Weekly US jobs, of course, and then we've got some core PPI month on Friday night. Let's have a quick look at some charts, just to sort of do the thing. You can see there the Nasdaq pushing up over last week towards that resistance level at around about 25,800 is the level to watch on. If we're looking, if we look at the hourly chart, you can see that level there around about. I'll put it over at 25,815. US 500 also pushing high towards those record highs on the rally over the last couple of days. The US dollar, however, isn't looking so perky. You can see that breach of short-term support. We're looking to hold this level at around about 96.19, which in context, you can see isn't a level that we've hit since early 2022, so almost four yearly lows on that if we do breach 96. And of course, gold has been the beneficiary. There it is, up at 50.62 right now, hardly a pause. So it did actually close at over 5,000 for the first time. Copper, as I said, is mid-range at this stage. Likewise with oil, which failed to reach that 61.50 level. And Bitcoin is, as I've said, testing support. It looks as though we've been a little bounce today, but that 85,660 level looks important. Onto the FX crosses. Let's have a look at GB pound yen. Looking interesting. On the 30-minute chart, you can see that short-term test of resistance at around about 211, nice strong number. We've got a potential move up in the short term to 211.91, so that's actually rather a nice move to the upside and a fairly clean run at it as well. So that's really a chart that looks very attractive technically. Here's the US yen, so we got that sell-off in the USD as we've already talked about. We're looking to, that was Friday, we're looking to sort of bounce a little bit. 154.33 looks interesting. Possible move up to 155 should it breach that. So that's also looking interesting. Context is really important, but you can see there that real significant drop in the dollar, 154.52. The other one just to keep an eye on is the Euro Aussie on the daily chart. You can see there we've had a bounce. It's not going to be a long session today. But 172.03. So the two I'll keep an eye on. We'll keep an eye on the Euro Aussie. Of course, remember that CPI number that's due to move. But for right now, I actually quite like GB pound yen. So I'd make that my chart of the day. It's worthwhile being patient. Until we get a breach of the high of today, which is at 211.18. Possible move up. It might pause around this level here at 211.74, so I would keep an eye on that. So it's potentially a $58, 58 pip, sorry, move. Let's just flip accounts and we'll have a look at some shares. There's Paladin, and you can see the uranium stock still looking really good. We talked about these all last week. Seem to struggle a little bit to get through that 13.26 level, but you can see how significant this is. We may see a pause. The weekly chart around about $14, but that's a nice pinch potentially. Hi Neil, sorry I didn't say hello. Right, so let's just have a quick look here. Let's take a little bit of a shortcut. All the resource stocks looking great. Just LYC's have a little bit of a pullback. We were sort of interested in that, but maybe just pulling back to retest this level it's breached. Oops, it's in the wrong place. So the next move on this will be quite important technically. Oops, sorry, where am I at now? There we go, sorry. Outside of the resource sector, I'm just checking to see if there's anything that looks interesting. Let's just have a quick look at IEL, which is just struggling to make the gains of it had towards the back end of last week. So it still looks as though resources is the place to be. Whitehaven Coal was interesting last week. That seems to have paused. Quite like this as a chart. Might make this my ASX chart of the day. Looking for a move over $9. If we go on the monthly chart, you can see there. Last time was at this level, was all the way back here in October 2022. Potential move up to around about. That's actually very attractive, isn't it? Oh, yeah, well, maybe. Yeah, so a breach of $9 and then possibly move up to 10, so around about 10%. I'm going to make it my ASX chart of the day. A bit flick on a couple of US stocks. I need to have a look at Remax, which did pull back a little bit yesterday. I'm just going to push this level up to 100. That is a psychologically important level, as you can see there. Have a look at a couple of others that we've been tracking. We've been having a quick look at the airlines to see if they would bounce off this level. Look at LUV, for example, at around about 41. That looks interesting, but most of the buying yesterday was in tech. So let's just check out NVIDIA. A bit shy today. A lot of these are just shaping up sort of mid-range-ish. Micron pulled back a little bit for the first time for a few days, had a really good run up. Yesterday, you can see it's okay in extended hours trade. Now we've got a really nice line in the sand at around about 400. Now the advantage of MU is they don't report soon. I just want to see what NVIDIA, we have a look at NVIDIA. Let me just have a look at Microsoft. I haven't looked at Microsoft chart for a little while. Nice bounce in Microsoft. As you can see, the bank come back in again. Another one that reports this week. 500 looks like an important level for Microsoft, whichever way you slice it to the upside. But of course, what some people will be doing is maybe looking to scalp pre-earnings of around about $20. I'm not sure that's worth the risk. It's due out on the 28th, which is tomorrow after the bell. Just if you are in stocks, if you are in tech stocks, then just watch for, or even the Nasdaq futures, just watch for after the bell action, particularly Wednesday and Thursday, where we've got a few of the big tech reporting. Remember that US futures contracts are run for an hour after equity market close, and that's usually when they release earnings. So that's noteworthy for sure. I did notice that Walmart was looking interesting. The retail stocks won't report until the end of earnings season, so possibly 2 or 3 weeks away. So if we do get a breach of 120 for Walmart, that could be interesting. You can see it's brought it back up to this level of note. I'm not sure why there's that big gap there. It's probably corporate, I'm guessing. We're not checking it out, but that's worth checking into. 128 is the target, so that's about 6.5%, 7%. If we should get back up to 128, but as I said, the clock is ticking on some of these, on some of the time to earnings on some of these stocks. So it should always be your first port of call. Now, Wally's up 2.6%. Let's just have a look at Wally. I haven't had a look at Wally for a little while. No, that's just moving back into a range. So just having a good day today, I think. An A2 milk probably worth a look as well. Again, a bounce off a potential support level, but again, just going to move into noise for right now. We are actually moving into Australian earnings season. That's from February, so very soon. So just be aware of that. And again, you should be checking on when earnings dates are due. If you can find them, slightly more difficult to do on the ASX, but company websites, if they've announced a date, should be able to give you something that's indicative, if not the exact date. But ASX earnings dates tend to change a little more than the US. Yeah, silver's flying now. Let me just have a quick, I'll just put that silver chart up for you. Can you believe it's over $100? But it did have this really odd spike going on yesterday. So I shot up to 117 and then down again. It looks as though the buyers, this is possibly profit taken on this move here. But now the buyers are back in and we might see it sort of starting to move up. Very interesting. Thanks for that, Neil. I'd be sort of maybe looking at above 110, 111 for a possible move up to 117. Should it breach that? If it doesn't breach that, you can see it's just come off that a little bit now. We may see it come down and retest sort of 105. That I would put as the more obvious support around 106 actually. Anyway, that should do for today. I didn't want to keep you too much because I know it's a different day to some of you used to remember the Be Inner Circle tomorrow. And obviously, if you're watching on YouTube live, or if you're watching on catch up later on today, if you like what you hear, then of course just give it a little thumbs up there. That's always good. I'll love and leave you. I'll see you soon. Thank you very much for being here. Catch you later. Bye for now.